Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ. And of course, we're going along this design journey for Obsidian Star, a free tabletop role playing game based on post human technologies in the far future. And today we're going to talk about or do an encapsulation of some of the darker sides of technology. And whether the players are going to engage in it or not, that's up to your table. But we're going to talk about like the idea of is technology inherently evil? Probably not. But the uses of that technology, and when the players confront the factions and the governments and corporations and rebel forces and isolated communities that are using and absolutely abusing this technology. To use this for our storytelling methods and to kind of get across this idea of what is the difference between like transhumanism and posthumanism versus any other kind of science fiction storytelling that we have. And I often use like speculative science fiction or I'll use post-human and such, and this way we can kind of get on the same page and then kind of go down some dark pathways. I don't know. YouTube might actually mark this video and block it based on some of the concepts we may come across. But again, this is for storytelling purposes and for role-playing purposes, so I hope it doesn't offend anyone. But these elements will be included in it. So yeah, strap on your big pants, your adult pants. We're going to get into it. So the End King says it's hard to imagine this distant future society where technology is so advanced that there are dark sides and unheeded ominous warnings. By the way, this going on Facebook. I no longer broadcast it on my my Facebook page because people it's I don't want to say it's complicated. It's it broadcasts on Facebook, and then I have to put out an invite, and then people have to be invited to the thing. It's just a complication. I just stopped doing it. I don't mind doing it. It just no one bothered, going over there and such. So I just stopped doing it. Drew says, please don't make this the setting for Luddites or other fear mongers about the future and technology. No. I get it, right? Like I joke sometimes that I feel like I'm a Luddite because just because I'm older, and sometimes if I'm not introduced to a thing, I've got to learn it. But no. I'm not making the impression that like tech is evil and we need to supplant it or something. No. But it is kind of, although there are people, let's be honest, there are people who are like anti-tech out of a principle without actually knowing what it's used for. And I'm a half glass full person. I'm a positive person. Like, yeah, we should be discovering and designing and moving technology forward to create solutions to problems and stuff. I don't see a problem with it, but but people who are against it feel that the one ruins it for the many, and I use that term a lot. And sometimes you see some like idiotic rules and people's behavior, and I'm like, yep, that one person's going to ruin it for everybody else, Yeah, shit lords. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The continuous cocaine orgasm comes into play once again. Exactly. And mind you, we've been talking about this the whole time, but I thought I would pick different categories of the technology and then go into the air quotes problematic parts of it, where those who want to engage in the game and you want to talk about it with your friends and family, whether it's outside the game, where these are some of the issues that people will have a problem with, or maybe even not realize that there are things that might happen with the technology that some people will say, oh, hey, if you created this technology, everything would be perfect. And you go, nope. Shai says, I share these on Facebook sometimes, but none of my inmates in the bubble gives an F about hard sci-fi stuff. Yeah, got some D&D people, but that's about it. Yep. And also just both time-wise and job-wise, it's difficult for me to interact uh, effectively and continuously with social media, because I can listen to things, but I can't respond like on Discord or Facebook or, X or Mastodon or whatever continually through my job, because I'm constantly driving and walking and driving and delivering packages and things like that. So it's difficult for me to do that. So okay, so um yeah, like Shitstorm says, but seriously though, it does seem like mind control would be really easy for them to pull off in this setting. Yes. And unfortunately, we have real life examples of the willingness to engage in the darker sides of technology, despite the fact that everyone seems to point out that everyone else is doing the exact same thing, but they themselves are not. For example, in there's an episode of Black Mirror on Netflix where soldiers are given implants in their eyes that allows the government to basically the implants allow an outside force like the government in the story to let them see the enemy as like vampires and monsters, but they were just innocent people. And how technology, like all it would take is some like VR goggles or something, or overlays and implants in our eyes, and someone outside could literally affect the things that we see. And people would say, oh, well, that's not possible. No one would volunteer for that. Yet we look down in our phones and our own algos, our own search engines create silos of information so that people can't get out of that silo. You're always being given a reinforcement of the thing that you already believe or you think you believe. And yeah, so yeah, mind control would be easy. So let's talk about the mind control part. In Obsidian Star and in post-humanism, the idea that we could download our brains, our neural pathways, and that information technologies could get so high that we could literally download everything that we've ever known, that we've ever experienced, download it, and then like any kind of data transfer, pick it up as a hard drive. Let me see if I could find one of my external drives. Do I have one here? Yep. All right, so I got here an external drive. I think it's a one T. I think it's a 1 terabyte drive. Anyway, so we got an extra. It's one of a number of external hard drives that I have, and now it's a little big. Maybe someone might consider this a data core. I doubt it. It's a little too small for that. But someone's brain could be in this. The issue is you can alter this. So mind control could absolutely be done by altering someone's memories. It can be used to alter someone's perceptions of what they see and hear. You could delete someone's aggression and anger and modify it by using data. You could overlay one individual's memories onto one other person, a dozen other people, 1,000, 10,000 individuals. When people fall asleep, or there's a social program where people plug themselves in at night, or they upload information or something of that nature. Social pressure is a powerful tool. Many times we like to say in a vacuum what we would do, but social pressures keep people from bucking the system. There's already been experiments done where one individual is being tested, all the others are actors, and the actors start picking and saying the wrong things, and it makes the individual in the middle, surrounded by people who are wrong, who will agree with the crowd to be wrong just to get along. So they go along to get along. So if you could download someone's brain, it would be very easy to manipulate them. And I like the idea of that, because there's a horror to it, where the players may go from habitat to habitat, and they may not know that the dark side of this habitat, which may seem like a big utopia, maybe there's some insidious program happening in the background that's manipulating, modifying, and basically turning people into puppets, like the thumbnail. Totalitarian governments, dictators, and corporations, and all those kind of things, criminal organizations could very, very easily put their thumb on the scale of how to control a population without actual physical threats or anything. Drew says, despite struggling with chronic depression, I'm not a glass half empty gal, but instead I look at it as it as technology that is refillable. Ooh, being able to the idea that you could use technology to like refill the glass. Hopefully there will be answers or to issues that we have and things like that. Not sure how I'm going to word this, but I think it would be awesome if there's, how to explain this, a habitat that embraces neural divergence as its power, not as its limitation. I think that would be kind of cool that we progress so far in technology that we're able to what today we consider to be diagnosis of like manic depression, from dissociative disorders and obsessions and things, but able to place people into the positions in society that benefits them to increase society, and then ways to protect them from themselves, like that kind of thing. I think that would just be awesome. I don't know what that would look like, but I like the fantastical nature of thinking about that. Shitlord says, like in the 25th century, would anybody even know or care if they were spending their whole lives talking to AIs? That's another thing too. Like, people are scared of like when the AI awakens and the singularity happens, and I'm going, but people already talk to machines as it is. Like, I don't think there won't be a hard line. It'll just be a very subtle thing, to the point where, AI loved ones and friends and things like that. Like, if you're, how easy would it be for like Chat GPT to be given a personality you could modify slightly, and then it just becomes people's best friends as they grow up or something, right? Shai says, remember the end of Brazil, the dystopian movie? Yep, where they get into his brain. Wouldn't they be able to do that remotely in Obsidian Star? Yes, they would. Yes, they would. Remote access, yeah, those bad guys be able to see and hear through other people's minds, to be able to remote operate people, shut them down temporarily to remote operate people, and then get them back to their lives again. That'd be nasty, though. That also, I think, is a great way for us to have like our big bad evil, our BBEGs, to confront the player characters through the eyes and minds and voices, throats of the general population. I like that idea. I love it. Not knowing whether anybody you are talking to is actually a real person. You could make that the centerpiece of an entire campaign here. Oh yeah, hell yeah. Hells yeah. You arrive and the PCs are like, this is a nice place, and come to realize that the 10,000 people that live in the habitat are literally just one AI, but the AI has just created personalities for random NPCs. I love it. Maybe the AI starts having a relationship with some of the player characters. And spoiler alert, the ending of the movie Her, which is a brilliant movie. You have to see that movie if you haven't. It's a drama. It's not action related, but it's very high tech, and I love that movie. It's like one of my top 5 sci-fi films. But in the movie Her, our main character Trimbley realizes that the OS operating system he's falling in love with a pseudo sexy voice is actually having relationships with emotional relationships with a bunch, I don't know, hundreds of other people, mid hundreds. Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, why not? Drew says 1 terabyte from my brain. That is not enough. Mostly, of course, because I cannot delete stuff, and thus I collect a lot of junk there. I wonder if when we download our brains, and download our brain to the hard drives. Like we end up finding out like we have to delete a bunch of junk and then get rid of it, which the neuroforged or the neuros or whatever we want to call them are people who do that. It's a character option, that pathway you could take, where there are people who are like, you know what, I'm just going to delete this out and delete that. I'm going to add this in. I'm going to move that around. I'm going to what's the old thing we used to do? Um, Defrag. Got to defrag the brain every couple of weeks or something. Yeah, that'd be awesome. There may even be a society of people that just defrag their brains every once in a while. You know what? I keep holding on to this old trauma of mine. I'm going to download it and just keep it in my pocket and save it for later because it really motivates me. But in a normal case, I'm not going to have this trauma in my brain anymore, and just put it in my back pocket. Crazy. If a person is tricked to zipping into a corrupted jacket, their thoughts might not even go through the brain or nervous system correctly. Physical mind control. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I wonder if you could program or alter someone's emotional state by the way their body reacts, or vice versa, having their mind react to an emotional state, which causes their body to have a certain reaction that they normally wouldn't have. Much like a panic attack. Some people are just susceptible to being in the public and having panic attacks, and it's like their conscious brain is going, I don't want to feel this way, but their body is reacting to some kind of subconscious stimuli. Shai says, surely there must be some way to block remote brain control here, right? You must have already thought of this, some sort of brain shield device. Absolutely. It is not automatic, like all of a sudden, like player characters show up and it's like, click, 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 mind control, right? It's not automatic like that. But there are hackers who can hack technology, and the hacking of the brain is a thing that players may have to avoid. So also, I'm pretty sure, like the very first time someone gets brain hacked, the vast majority of the population is going to go, hell no, we can't let this happen. So the default would be that there would be a brain, like a blocker to it. And then those who want to brain hack someone from their memories or their sensory organs by being able to see and hear things would be out of the norm. And being able to follow if someone's getting hacked. For example, if someone brain hacks you and makes you commit a crime, there has to be some kind of defense for it, in which case they could trace back where that hack came from. Drew says, I think the operating system of a brain alone would take quite a bit of space on the data storage. Exactly. My default is that a human brain downloaded looks different than any other kind of data you would ever download. So now, would that be a true thing in our own future? I don't know. But in this setting, I'm defaulting to that. A human neurological pathway brain data it's so unique unto itself that it's completely recognizable. There's no way that you could try to hide it or copy it and such, but even if you copy it, the copy is another human being's brain. It's not like it's not like you can't mistake a human brain for like a novel or a movie or something like that. Yeah, Shitlord says you can't make it too easy for them to get into everyone's brains, though. That would be literally game breaking, right? Or what would happen is you would never be able to trust anything, and that was one of the fears of the old OSR into modern gaming, and why it changed throughout time. Listen, I'm an OSR guy, Dungeons and Dragons OSR. You guys get the point, but there were some elements of it that like. You can get so paranoid that it just becomes analysis paralysis, and I don't want that. I don't want that to happen at all in this game. I don't want players going like, I'm never going to a habitat at all because they're just going to automatically hack my brain. But no, nothing like that. Yeah, yeah. Drew says AI that has a lot of personalities. Anyone having watched The Good Place? I haven't watched the full show, but it is very it uses a lot of philosophies and theology and stuff. I love the idea. I have to sit down and watch it. I just don't have the time. But yes, in The Good Place, there's the equivalent of an AI in the background, basically puppeteering other people and stuff. Shai says, not necessarily. Okay, force them to role play the brain control. As Andrew once said, do not remove the PCs from player control. You make them play out that charm spell, charm person spell. Yeah. That's where the baggage idea comes from. It's like you get to choose, you as a player get to choose your own downfall. So at least you're an agent, you have agency in your character's uh background personality. And like you're mentioning, could you play a character who gets mind altered so much that they aren't really the character anymore, and the adventure is to regain their personality back to the way it was? Hell yeah. Heck, you could even play a character who gets so effed up in the brain that you have to go back to an older version of yourself from 5 weeks ago to re-upload your old self to delete your new self and stuff. Yeah, all of that. Oh, you guys are going too far ahead of me. Star Trek Discovery had a character who stored memories externally and not in her brain. That was really neat. Sadly, it was also a tragic story. Yes, you can. There's a class of people known as the Sarkoph, meaning like sarcophagus, and they spend their lives their bodies are in a tube, a stasis tube, a sarcophagus. Why they're called Sarkophs, and the Sarkophs inhabit other jackets, like remotely piloting them. So they have a body and they have a mind. They just remote operate other jackets, and they switch bodies all the time and things like that. So yes, externally having your brain and memory somewhere else while you go adventuring and stuff. Yeah, hell yeah, hell's yeah. Which, listen, if it's available to player characters, is available to the NPCs as well. And you imagine an enemy who has loyal followers or troops or something like that the player characters can easily defeat, but their brains just keep getting re-uploaded into new bodies that keep coming after the player characters wave after wave, whether it's moment after moment or weeks after weeks, months after months. So sure, you could beat ass on somebody, but that person's going to remember who you are and your capabilities and come back at you over and over again, unless you could find out where their main data drop would be, download or stuff. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, that's very easy. Uh, okay, let me. I have a list of things I want to talk about. Okay, seems like that would leave you wide open to literally losing your mind. I like that. Yeah. I cannot lose my mind. It is stored in the cloud. I always have access to it. Yes, yes. Cloud access to your brain is a real thing in this game. Yes. Shai says if you're spending, ooh, thank you for that, Drew. Is if you're spending your whole life as a cortical stack, you're actually software, right? Yeah, not wetware. I.e., the cortical stack is not actually your physical brain, or is it? Well, that's the question. That's the question. So okay. So how to explain this? This a little too big, but all right. Let's just. I've got a little device in my hand. Let's presume this little small object here is a zipper. This goes in the back of your head, and this is where it's your backup brain. Now, this little small thumb drive zipper thing that goes into the jacket may be your core personality, and it does not exist anywhere else in the solar system. Or this could be a copy that goes into the jacket, but your real personality is in storage, maybe in a rental place, or you're a black ops team and it's held by a faction or a government or something like that. The true answer to that will just be whatever you decide for your game. And also the definition of, like, are you actually software or are you hardware, and where that is, that definition should be made in game for you and your group or whatever, right? Yeah, the shitlord says the cloud is where it's easiest for them to get into your brain, which is another problem, right? You're in a black ops mission, you're like, there's nobody that can get to me, and then you beam yourself from one moon to another, and there's one of your enemy rivals realizes that you just started to beam your brain. Yeah, they could go hack it during the beaming process, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Shai says it's true. Security issues with the cloud are the only reason my job still exists at all. Yeah. Yeah. Says this is reminiscent of Battlestar Galactica. Yeah. Yeah. I like that show. Gotta go back and watch. The last two seasons a little bit funky, but yeah. Remote control jackets sounds like a bad thing. I mean, sure, here on Earth it's possible to have a drone, but interplanetary, the signal will take minutes, if not hours. Yes, you are absolutely correct on that. So remote operating a jacket means that if your enemy is remote operating one, guess what? You know they're nearby, right? It's doing it from, like, even beaming information from Earth to the moon has a delay to it, which you don't want to delay, because if there's a delay and something happens, let's say you're in a stasis chamber and you're literally remote operating a body that is exactly your copy on the moon's surface, and you trip and fall down a crevice, you're not going to know for seconds later, and you need to react quickly. So Drew, that is absolutely correct, which means that, hey, if the players want to run and gun, sure, you could, blast people in their bodies, but where's their mind at? And you may need to hurry up and get to the broadcast location before they then activate even more jackets to go after you, right? And those jackets don't need to be bags of water and meat. those jackets could be mechanical robots with like 4 arms and 8 feet tall and Gatling guns and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So how easy is it for them to F with your zipper is the crux of the whole totalitarian tech issue. Exactly. How now, again, manipulating the social structures may also be an issue. So people may willingly say, hey, listen, I'm totally willing to let the totalitarian government use my body and mind if they put me in a utopian region. If they make me rich and famous, what's the big deal in giving up my freedom? And that may be a real thing, right? Like today we have people who give up their lives in pursuit of various agendas. I'm not arguing whether they are right or wrong. I'm saying we today know that people throughout history have given up their lives for a thing that the rest of the people around them feel that they can't even see or touch. People give up their lives for faith, for the future, for their families, for legacy, for government, for the continuation of humanity in their own eyes. Imagine technology that says, no, this is a real thing you can have. Hey, give up your life. So yeah, pretty nasty to have like suicide squads of agents who know that they just can come back to life again and do the whole thing over and over again. But not only do we have like mind control, imagine if you are a autonomous personage, a artificially intelligent machine. I'll throw humans and biological humans into this as well if they have certain kind of modifications in their brain. And all a totalitarian government has to do is delete the doors out of your sensory organs. So, for example, you walk into a building, maybe there's a code that's a broadcast signal that's sent to your brain that makes you unable to even see the agents who are the ones who are imposing the totalitarian government in the first place. They're completely invisible through technological editing. You can't even see the door to open up. Like they don't even have to lock doors. They can just have a door open. People just don't know where those doors at to go into the behind the scenes of the people who control the government itself. So that may literally be an issue. Like the players are like, oh shoot, they're sending out the security broadcast. Now we can't even hit the button on the elevator to go up to the 200th floor because we can't even see it. Yeah, zippers. N King says zippers jackets. What if a consciousness flittering around without a body to jump into is called a moth or ghost moth or death's head if you want to get pretentious? Yeah. Oh, there's the death's head moth. Death's head moth from most notably used in Silence of the Lambs, and we're gonna share an image of that out just because it's cool. Yes, the death's head moth, which has the face of a let's get this a little bit bigger here, shall we? Great, same size. All right, let's go with images first. Let's do that, and then for sale. Wow, let's see. We get a really good image of the death's head right here in the center of its back. Yeah. Moth. That's a great idea. It would be almost like you said, like ghosts flittering around the I don't know the intergalactic interweb. I'm calling it the flow, but it would be pretty interesting to like solve someone's murder or something. Drew says, "What door reminds me of Westworld?" Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, I like that. Thank you, N King. We're gonna put that in there too. Yeah, Ghost Moth or Death's Head if you want to get pretentious. I'm into the pretentiousness. Yeah. Maybe it could be used as a verb, like mothing could be a verb. Cocooning, like moths and cocooning. The idea of a moth eroding the threads of your mind. So maybe there are people who a death's head latches onto them and begins eating away at the threads of their mind to superimpose the mothing effect is someone else taking over your body and then taking over your life, and you get deleted a little bit at a time. That's crazy. I love it. So being a moth would be the best way to survive space travel at all. Yeah, maybe just a random signal sent out there. Although it could be like a beacon or not a beacon. It could be the last resort of one or more people to send their consciousness out into space, hoping that someone receives that signal. And that signal could travel for a million years before it's intercepted. That would be crazy. I love it. Brain editing. The vampires in Vampire Hunter D did that. Humans are genetically tampered with so they forget any vampire weaknesses they witness. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, brain tampering is crazy. Technologies, heck, the idea that I'm going to segue into jackets. So we know in this context, a jacket is the physical body you embody. Physical. That's redundant. It is your physical nature, usually humanoid. Because it so easily relates to our own nature to have just 2 legs, 2 arms, and a brain. I would challenge the dysmorphic idea. So dysmorphia is a big thing in this game. And I would challenge that individuals who have suffered or born with disfigurement have an easier time flowing from body to body than those. And there are those who are born who feel like they are not in the body they should be born in. And I feel like those individuals would have an easier time flowing into different jackets than someone like me, who's hardwired into what I look like, feel like. Like if I was 6 inches taller, I would have to adjust to my new height and my center of gravity. If my skin color was lighter or darker, if I had features, my eyes were wider, my voice was different, it would be, I would feel, it would take me a bit of time to adjust to my new body. Whereas someone who, this is strange to say, someone who's naturally in an unnatural state might have an easier time. Like, oh, of course I don't mind being in a mechanical body that's got 4 arms and tank treads for legs and sees in the infrared. Like, that's no big deal, because I've always felt like shouldn't have been born in this body in the first place. And I feel like there's a space for that in this game, and I like it. I like it a lot. Shai says, I mean, being a disembodied mind, a space ghost, as it were, is the only way I can imagine spending years in space. Yeah. Now, it's also possible to send, say, a crew of 12 astronauts. Being cis as disadvantage, I like that. Yeah, exactly. Like, it would be... this is a designer note. I imagine role-playing games allow us to imagine anything. So why can't we imagine our real world, air quotes, social disadvantages to be the protagonists, our heroes, our advantageous selves in a role-playing game? Why the hell not? But also technology. You see how I'm using technology to warp the way we think? That being like you said, Drew, being cis might be a disadvantage, where being gender fluid by individuals who have suffered physical harm. For example, people who've had like amputations, disfigurement through like burns and things of that nature. Individuals who have suffered harm like blindness, deafness, things like that. In our world, many of us, despite different wording, we consider that a bit of a disadvantage, unless that individual is out in space in this high-tech world where they're like, oh hell no, we need people who have blindness, because they're the individuals who have brains that are fluid enough to be implanted with like being able to see in the infrared and ultraviolet and electromagnetic spectrums and things like that. And I think it would be cool to have a habitat of, air quotes, all handicapped people who are their best selves in this world. They're like, yeah, I don't have any arms and legs, and I love it in 0G. All I do is just have my brain attach different limbs that I need to use whenever I need to and stuff. It would just be awesome. Yeah, Shai says, yeah, you're going to end up getting downloaded into a jacket of the opposite sex at some point. Listen, people taking... Okay, so here's... Okay, I wasn't going to talk about it yet because we're not quite at the end, but I'll do it now. The propensity for human beings to engage in deviant, gendered sexual encounters with a lot of easy high technology. Drew says differently abled, not handicapped. Right. You're absolutely right. I'm mixing events. Here, people would say they're handicapped, but in this setting, no, they're not just differently abled, they're actually kind of the heroes, right? Like, it's not a matter of, oh, it's equality. No, it's superiority, right? It's like, no, in this particular event, in this particular situation, maybe it's a benefit to be that way, and not we don't call it disadvantageous. So I would love to see that. And how would we have new terminology for that, or a way to encompass it? And I'm purposefully being devil's advocate in the sense of being relating to the darker side so that the lighter side can shine, if you understand what I'm saying. But the idea that people would hey Hunt, the idea that people would take vacations by zippering themselves into a jacket of the opposite sex, or into a jacket that can change its sexual orientation, and that becomes a vacation. Hell yeah. Heck, people would probably have, if you're rich enough, you'd probably own one just so you could have. As a matter of fact, here's a strangeness. You could have individuals who are in committed relationships who switch gendered bodies to accommodate their partner to be in that committed relationship in the first place. So, but it also brings up the idea that would there be different classes of individuals? So there are some people who are born who are like, you know what, I consider myself to be somewhere on the quilt bag spectrum, and this is a technology that allows me to live my true self, to my authentic self. Where then there's other people who are just like, no, I just had some money and I thought I'd get drunk and do something on the side. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you just now you're oh, what's the term? You're I don't want to say stealing the joy, but it's like you're not compromising. Oh shit, I forgot the terminology. It doesn't matter. But we also have that thing where one habitat, maybe people are there's a governmental system that is using AI to analyze like what is the optimum body you should be in to be your perfect self. Great, we're going to figure out what that is. It's going to take a couple of weeks, but that's who you're going to be. Whereas there's another habitat that's all like a casino or like a vacation spot. Like, yeah, like, all right, so let's like type. Let's see what kind of body you really should be in. It's like, hey, I want to go on this adventure or something. And it's like, no, let's get a little darker there, you know. Juice is differently able, not handicapped, which I like. Shai says, I don't even mean deviant. I just mean you're going around as a disembodied mind in a zipper. You're like, what jacket you end up in is not necessarily that important. You just need some sort of body. Yeah, exactly. Right. I haven't been able to really figure out how to make that a character option, but I really do want to do that. Like, you just float around and pick up random empty jackets and use it and drop them off and pick up another one. I think that'd be awesome as a character. Heck, I once played Eclipse Phase where I didn't even have a body. My character was in the minds of my other player characters, and I switched between their minds, and my character's physical function was based on what the player character I was inside of did, which I like that. I like giving up that control. Like we should go left, and they're like, no, we're going right, and I'm like, damn it. but yeah, that'd be awesome to like be a disembodied figure. Now, I wonder if you would be visible, at least electronically or digitally, to other people. I would have to say yes. That'd be kind of awesome. Yeah, in that case, everybody would just spend the whole time in a super powerful robot jacket. Yeah, well, okay. And I think you brought this up many broadcasts ago, shitlords. So I don't believe there is this is my headcanon. There's no universal like VR jacket mind thing where a perfect body exists for an individual. For example, some people have I would say there's a certain percentage of the population that even though they get plugged into a perfect VR, that they still have what's it called? Uncanny Valley syndrome. So there are some people that just cannot download themselves into a perfectly immortal, high alloy robot body that live forever. Amen. Because their minds would go crazy. So I would say that there's like, are there people who are doing that? Hell yeah, of course there are. Would that be universal for everybody? No. So, VR addiction, is that a real thing? Yes. Would that be applicable to everybody everywhere? No. Some people just plug themselves in and they're just like, I don't get it. Like the rendering might be perfect, but there's just something about it that just their brain just can't fit. It's not a perfect puzzle piece. Now, what percentages? I don't know. But I think there should always be an exception to the rule, right? And so there would be people that are just like, no, I don't know if I would spend my whole life in a super powerful robot jacket. Now, anyway, we'll get into the problems with that too. Drew says we already have that with leg prosthetics that let people who lost their natural legs run faster than biological legs would allow. Exactly. Now, here's a slightly dark part of that. If that becomes so reliable like cyberpunk, would people voluntarily give up their limbs, as an example, to get a limb that is better? Now, there would be some people that just have like cybernetic, they are allergic to cybernetics. They can't, psychologically, they can't function with mechanical limbs, or maybe their biological body rejects it for some reason. So there might be a small percentage of people that way as well. But yeah, I agree with that. It says great now. Drew says great now. I see already someone making a quiz to find out which body would be best for you. Exactly. Yeah. It's 568 point question, and you're just rolling your eyes like, oh, all right, page 67. Okay. What is your favorite color? Hey, if you smelled vanilla, what's the first thing you think of? And blah blah. You're just like, oh, really? Yeah. Shitlords is like, Drew, right? So just be a robot. Exactly. If you're always Robot Jacket, wouldn't that make it even easier for them to hack in? Yes, thank you. You already went there. Yeah, if you're a mechanical body, how easy would it be for, and remember, just like human beings need to eat and sleep and feed and things like that, if you're in a mechanical body, you better hope you can repair all the things that happen to you, because you're going to have to power down and defrag and I don't know, use solar panels, or I don't know, a radioisotope or something to maintain yourself. And we all know digital information can break down over time. So you're going to have to maybe make a copy of yourself and hold on to your copy, or hide a copy of your brain somewhere and stuff like, yeah. And King says headcanon. This canon literally started in your head. Headcanon here just means the setting. Well, I don't. You're absolutely right. It is pretty ironic. Okay. The reason why I say that is because what you're imagining may be different than me, and I don't feel like it belongs to me, if that makes sense, right? And I like the idea that we have corners of this solar system where the what if already exists somewhere. Reminds me of an article by the author C.S. Friedman, and she wrote an article about how she writes her novels, and she comes up with a concept, and she specifically breaks her worlds. So she uses a concept, and what she does is goes, okay, if this exists in this world, what would the most notorious, evil, decadent, brilliant, obnoxious, cruel, whatever, what would these people use with it? And then she essentially goes through the process of breaking her world, and then inserts her protagonist into that world, so that it's not like we as the consumer are going, well, why wouldn't they do this thing? So I'm also offering the same thing, meaning like, just as you guys are going, well, wait a minute, why wouldn't you just live in a mechanical body? My answer to that is, the answer to that is yes. There are people who are doing that. Well, why wouldn't I just be a disembodied mind that could just pick different jackets that I want to whenever I want to? Then the answer is always yes. In this setting, I want to get across that, sorry, player characters, but probably somebody already tried to do that. You know, there's going to be a player who's going to say, well, can't I just make hundreds of copies of my mind, and then I just operate a fully integrated military unit, all with the same memories, the same personalities, and we all flow as one person? And I'm going to say, well, of course people would do that. The problem with making hundreds of copies of your brain operating as the same person is that every other copy is the original, at least in their head canon, and they may leave, you know? So yeah, the same idea that you think you're making copies of yourself to use as meat shields, all the other copies are like, you made me a copy to use as a meat shield. F you, original you. Right? So yeah. Shai says, seems like the only foolproof way of preventing anybody from getting into your mind would be simply just be a gnat. Well, Yes, but no, because someone could try to kidnap you. Someone who may have some type of technology that from a range while you're sleeping, they could make a copy of your brain or something that still exists. A lot more difficult to get away with it, but yes, it would be far easier not to even have a cortical stack, a zipper in your head. It'd just be easier to be a meat puppet piloted by brain matter. But this is high tech. Socially, maybe people might look at you like, which sounds like the perfect advantage for a gnat in this world. If you were natural born, you would feel like, damn, everybody's stronger, faster, smarter, immortal. Like I can't catch a break except for the fact that you're a gnat. No one can hack you. No one can modify your brain. No one knows like that. Imagine that's your huge advantage in a world where everyone's feels like they need hacking insurance or something because of what's going on. Shitlord says this whole scenario would turn into the space fascists controlling everybody who's got brain augmentations, and the Nats are the only ones not under government control. Maybe, yes. Now, I would say that the difficulty of spreading a fascist imperial regime throughout the solar system is habitat separation makes it difficult. So you would have to implement it almost like a social norm. Like it would be difficult to use a big giant fist to smash people into behaving a certain way, which you could. I mean, that works for a short time, but to socially get people like, hey, guess what? If you do this, you gain some kind of benefit from a thing, right? It's like the idea today of people promoting the idea of burning books and deleting books and eradicating books and thinking that's a good idea. And it's like no one ever thinks of the downside. People think of the upside. So a fascist regime would have to continually promote the upside of a thing and downplay the downside of a thing. Meaning like sure, is there problematic information in books that kids can read? Of course. But here's the other thing. Being stupid is not a good thing for any reason. We should never be deleting information. We should always be adding to the things that we can learn from, no matter how horrible they are. We should always be learning. We should always be moving forward, not going backwards. And that's my particular opinion. But yeah, there an underground of gnats. Hell yeah. Heck, the funny thing is, your comment there, shitlords, sounds exactly like the thing that it sounds like. I could imagine that fascist government going, damn gnats, like waving things out of your face. These gnats keep coming back over and over again, right? And they think of those people like GNATs, right? GNATs. They think of them as the insect gnats. And so that may be an issue. Heck, there might even be a faction of people who are just like, let's not remove. They may feel like they are the last holdout of humanity by just giving birth as gnats, and giving natural birth may be something so not unnatural, so unfamiliar that when people see it, it may feel like something completely unnatural. Like they've never seen a human being born like that. We only see them being extruded out of exowombs or something. The Ant King says, a disadvantage to being a gnat. You, along with 1,200 others, dies when your ship is destroyed. Yep. Unless someone leaves the gnat, what would you call it? In Altered Carbon, you could have a religious exception to your cortical stack, so you are not reborn, re-jacketed, re-instanced from your cortical stack. Maybe someone, against the wishes of the group, chooses or somehow makes a way to copy the brains of the gnat family that gets destroyed and the 1,200 others that die in the ship. And when they come back, they're like, no, you brought us back. Why did you do that? Yeah, or maybe they're being lied to and they think they're gnats, but they're not. I don't know. Shitlord says, I hope you already have a plot device to prevent this. Otherwise, nobody would have free will at all. Well, you're Shitlords, I'm going to accuse you of something. You're being too smart for your own good. So you are getting to the end of an equation that we are adding the a plus b times x divided by y situation. So I'm looking at the beginning of the equation. You're on the other side of the equal side. So you're saying with this technology, this is what would happen. I'm saying sure, but it hasn't happened yet. We're living in interesting times. So the fact that something like that could spread, sure, that could be an orbit that's happening in your world, but who's to say that there won't be people who are absolutely against it? I mean, at a certain point, enough people mind controlled are going to exhibit traits to the other people who aren't mind controlled to say F you, give big giant middle fingers, and then try to destroy that imperialism, right? So it's assuming that there is one overriding agenda group, like I put in the thumbnail, like a totalitarian technology that other people can't stop. And I'm saying, well, it would be pretty interesting to be in a world where maybe you and the few are the free who are escaping from a thing that's spreading like that throughout the solar system. So, yep. Yeah, Shitlord says, it says totalitarian tech. It's a scenario with disembodied mind. So this government mind control is the first thing that springs to mind. No. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that you're from my point of view, you're getting ahead of yourself. Which, listen, totalitarian technology doesn't need to be related to just mind control. It's also body control as well. I mean, who's to say that the bodies that people get into don't have tracking information, don't have self-destruct mechanisms, biological bodies that are grown, but they have a limited lifespan, and you must devote your time, energy, your labor, your mind to a totalitarian government so that you can live another 5 years. Because when you hit 4 years and 6 months, you go from the perfect age of 23 human Earth years to 87, right? Through quickly aging away. So you're not wrong. I'm just saying, like, maybe there's even competing factions using different dictatorships using different technologies to get the same end. So one dictatorship could be at odds with another dictatorship using different things, like one using overlays to make people see things that, hey, if you're not for us, you're against us. They click a button. If you're a rebel, you end up looking like a monster that they have hunters, basically monster hunters with big giant, big ass guns shooting people in the streets, men, women, children, innocent people, because they haven't gone along to get along, right? And hey, once you're convicted, that all they do is click a button and you look like a monster, and everybody starts hunting the monster, and no one trusts the Lovecraftian monster with the tentacles out of its face, even though you don't look like that. To them, you look like a tentacle-faced monster with bug eyes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Shitlord says, so there's no sending signals long distance through space, so they need to be close to you to get into your brain. I'm presuming, I hadn't thought about that at all. What I mean is I hadn't thought about, like, distant signaled brains impacting, but I mean, I guess there could be ghosts. Now, could a corrupt government send a long distance signal at another habitat? Maybe that's a plot. Maybe they are sending a signal that no one can detect to try to infiltrate another place. That's a very good infiltration system, like an invasion of body snatchers. Hey, we found a asteroid, put a device in it. We are beaming our agents into your habitat. slowly eroding away, like as ghosts to erode away important dignitaries and slowly taking over the minds of the people that are there. I like that. I like that a hell of a lot. Yeah, I'm just fighting with you, shitlords, for no reason. That's all. Drew says free will is a delusion anyway. People have not even that right now. Such a thing. Yeah, today, I mean, we are all manipulated by the events and things that we see, for good or bad. That's why people get paid a lot of money for advertisement, right? This, I think there's a rule, advertising rule. I'm gonna look it up. Advertising rule 7 interactions. I think it's that. There it is. The rule of 7, the power of social media. The rule of 7. The rule of 7 for advertising is the rule of 7 is based on the marketing principle that customers need to see your brand at least 7 times before they commit to a purchase decision. This concept has been around since the 1930s when movie studios first coined the approach. And so, and what it means is that despite the fact that you might hate something, they're saying that actually the evidence shows that you can hate something first time you see it, second time you see it, third time you see it, and eventually it erodes away your resolve until by number 7, that fruity, high fructose corn syrup drink that you were just like rolling your eyes at when you saw the commercials, eventually you might buy one, right? That's the idea behind that. This philosophical idea about free will not existing, I don't buy it. Well, I mean, we are all products of our environment. Maybe the more the more someone else can control our environment, the more they control us. So the things that we see and hear and interact with and the voices and such, which is where AI systems can come in, that maybe on social media, some of the people you're interacting with could be AI systems. And that could be horrible, that someone feels like they're surrounded by a bunch of their friends online, but actually 75% of them are just AI bots that are responding, communicating with them in a seemingly human interactive method, but they're actually just bots making them choosing how they dress and act, and their loved ones, like, hey, I'm in a relationship, but I don't know how it's going. And they type in on social media, and the social media people are like, no, you should go for it. Girlfriend, you all right? He seems like a good guy, right? And then all of a sudden, you're just like, wait, were these bots telling me to do this? Shai says, just have some sort of firewall for your zipper and rationalize away this whole thing that it's super easy for them to control your mind. Yeah. So, but there's so many dark, we've gone too far because I could get into VR worlds. We haven't talked about VR worlds and how manipulative, like my VR world would be sitting on the beach and swimming pool and drinking fruity, mildly alcoholic drinks and things like that, and swimming and stuff. That'd be mine. But there's some people's VR worlds that incorporate, there are some pedos who would have a VR world that would make you vomit just upon insertion into it, right? And there are technologies with like cloning and harvesting human organs for things. There is if you have exowombs where you can grow children, who wouldn't want to do them? We already have the character options for being a docent or a Cro-Mag and whatnot. These are people who are biologically born to be enslaved. They are genetically created to be slave labor, and that's really crazy too. Yeah, shitlords, you're right. Yeah, your VR's paradise world. That's how they get you. They could do that through access. You can, hey, disgruntled worker, you get to take a vacation in your own VR world, but you have to earn it. And if you work for us, you get more credits to go into your VR world, right? To escape the dark What is it? Ready Player One. The stacks in Ready Player One. What's that image look like? Let's see. In the stacks in Ready Player One. I'm gonna share this out here. See if we get some images. Let's see. And I think they actually had this in Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. But look at all the stacks of RVs, the stacks and stuff like, oh, I want to leave this place. What do? They plug themselves in. There was another image here. That's not as good as that first one from the movies, but I almost feel like it would have been kind of cool to. There it is, Columbus Navigator. Yep. Steven Spielberg's The Stacks. Let's put this back up here. But I don't think I shared it out so you guys can see it. There it is. He just says, oh, so if you're playing a docent, your job is to role play out the mind control that's inherent in your character class. Yes. So the docent are, dare I say this, the most humanely treated slave class in the game. They are like blue plastic people. They are the least offensive artificial humans of humanity that serve humanity. So they are like the C3POs of the game. They are the intellectuals. They are assistants. They are like butlers and valets. Less physical work, except for maybe some light cooking and cleaning. More intellectual. Hey, I need help with medical industry, corporate industry, business, finance, medicine, science. They are often used. Like, for example, a scientist might have a docent that's like, hey, I'm doing this project. I'm going to get some sleep. You stay up 24 hours to watch my experiments, to do my experiments. I'll be back tomorrow to see what's going on. And a docent's like, yes, I will do this thing. It's blah, blah, blah. If you work for me, I will give you free total recall vacations. Hell yeah. Yeah. That's what shitlords to say. Yep, that's a possibility. Another possibility could be, could you imagine a very detailed overlay where outward on the outside of you, you're working in the sewer system, but your VR world makes you feel like instead of walking through sludge and human refuse down in the sewer system, scrubbing it off of filtration, to you, it sounds like you're walking in warm, waist-deep waters in the Caribbean with soft pink sand and a sunlight that's just bathing your skin in a perfect glow. And when you drink the soy mixture that's just nothing but nutrient sludge, it feels like you're drinking a nice fruity pink pina colada or something. Like that could be a possibility as well. Yeah. Shice says, sounds like a job for Andrew Wood. He was always into the challenge of playing out some horrendous disadvantage, like being a humanely treated slave. Yeah. And the balancing act of why I'm introduced in the game in the first place is as a player, how will you play the character? Meaning, like, will you play the character like Chewbacca? Like, I'm loyal to you, and I am loyal to you unto the death of myself, and I'm going to be your right-hand person. Like, I take pride in that service. Or are you going to be a rebellion? I don't want to be in this status any longer. Why can't I be in a position of power? Why can't I be the leader? Why can't I make my own decisions? And they ride the line between the Cro-Mags who are treated truly horribly and free people, and they ride the middle. Hey, I'm being treated good. These other people are treated bad. Who do I not say anything? Do I try to free them? How do I play this? And so, yes. Jem, the 80s cartoon rock star character. I don't know if you guys know that. Yeah, Drew, with all the talk about they, I feel like after the stream to listen to Jem and her song that is also called They. Yeah, yep. Is that a modern musician? I'm going to look that up. Let me see. Is it a music group? Oh, I did not know that. I did not know that. There she is. All right, guys, we've come to the end. I've taken up too much of your time, and we really didn't get too deep. I gotta put that in there. There we go. Let's take ourselves out. Yeah. Shitlords is like, they is code for redacted. Shame you couldn't just put a black box right there, right? That would be awesome. Hey, shitlords, I wonder if a government could make you walk around and you see those black bars of information that's redacted right literally out of view of you. So if I picked up this book, work, and I picked up the book and opened it up, I wonder if they could redact the very thing I'm looking at. How insidious would that be? Damn. Like you literally you try to read a book and they've redacted the book out of your mind so that you can't even read the words. It's just a big black bar. And maybe there are important individuals in this world, and if you try to look at their face is just redacted. Oh, there's a music video for the song They, which also has her in space. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, anyway, guys, I took everything from you. Shit, so it's like they already do everything we know is slow clap. You know what I'm gonna do? I think I'm gonna make a redacted T-shirt. I think I'll make a T-shirt with a black bar on it where the information on it is redacted. Yeah, okay. Jem is a character they are trying to make us think is a real person. I love it. I love it. I love Jem, and everyone's like, "Who's Jem?" You know, Jem the artist. I've got 3 of her albums, and it's like, what albums? I love it. Anyway, guys, have a great one. I took too much of your time. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time here. I appreciate it. I hope I can make change for your tabletop role-playing science fiction post-human transhumanness experiences. Guys, we'll talk about this maybe tomorrow or some other stuff. Who knows? Guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace and tranquility. Peace.